All right, hello everyone. My name is Disc. I'm a title healer from the War Within, and this is a 17 Maisara's Caverns review. I know I did a Maisara's Caverns like 10 days ago or so, but perhaps you didn't see the last one. Also, I'm a little bit better at Oracle now than I was in that key. And this was timed and it was on tape, so we're putting it up just for a little more traction on my YouTube. Speaking of traction, if you are watching this video, please give it some engagement. Not something I ever really ask for, but a comment, a like, a sub. Would really appreciate it, trying to get things going before the expansion hits. But like always, let's just flash talents on the screen. Not too much to it. It's pretty straightforward as Oracle. This is an okay place to take Mass Dispel. There's at least one or two pulls in here where we can utilize it. A couple of mana points up here are pretty important for Oracle. And yeah, the last thing I'll say as a part of this intro is I have my Medify up and running, medify.gg/justdiscipline. That is the best way to support me and the future of this channel. I do all of my private coaching one-on-one lessons over there. So please go check out what I have to offer. That's where I'll be sharing all of my add-on import codes for members or those who take lessons. But we cover Oracle, we cover Voidweaver, we cover general topics, we cover UI. So go check me out, throw the channel some love, and let's go ahead and clip over to the key. All right, here we go. I think I just did this key earlier today, but honestly, I've forgotten already. But before the key starts, I set my macro to cast all of my radiance at tank. I'm thinking about how this first pull is going to go, the full send pull. I believe I'm giving PI to the lock. But these are all things I'm thinking about before the pull starts. And I do have a noob start. So I was trying to precast a Radiance just to get the cooldown resetting, gain the proc, but combat had already engaged and I ended up pulling aggro, so sorry tank. And I set my focus early on this Mammoth. PI's out. I want to play my Mind Blast and a couple of Penance just to get the dot spread. Straight into uppies. It is great to play this spell on pull 1. And whenever I'm in the air, I try and think about my first move when I come out. I want to make sure I have a target holding a dot. We can see heal, absorbs, and party. Important to take care of those. It kind of looks like Atonement Healing did all we need for 17 at least. But direct penance are always good to remember that you can do. Someone in my comment section didn't realize that direct penance were valuable. I think she said it was a streamer actually discouraged from direct penance. And obviously an offensive penance is going to be a little bit better, but a lot of cases call for a defensive penance. Okay, playing shields out of combat to stack my palms. Set my focus early on the elephant. And I bounce back and forth between penance and shield. We have a group-wide hit coming up from the Mammoth. First is a tank buster, and then it's a group buster, the Roar. So I saw it coming on the nameplate. I preemptively hit my macro for both of my defensives, Desperate Prayer and Fade. Switching targets to get good Searing Light spread, good pain spread. PI is almost up, good play on next pull. Looking at the DPS meters, DK is on top, so let's see who I give it to. Shield out of combat to stack the palm. And I'm probably going to open with a couple of natural dots and then just let it go. Okay, PI is on the lock. Switch my targets. Switch targets again. Using focus targeting to easily manage 2 targets. Paints up just because I can. If I were to critique myself, I need to get better at monitoring a tank's stagger. Not something I really do, but I should if I want to be better. Switch targets. And I've said it in my other videos, if you're new to my channel, or maybe just haven't heard me say it yet in the videos you have watched, our Searing Light is our capstone talent. A pretty easy thing to think about when you're trying to min-max our spec is keeping 2 of those up at once. As Oracle, we have enough penance to have 2 out at once, like right there. It is better to switch your targets for your dot spread and switch your targets for your Searing Light spread, rather than continually cast penance at the same mob, just refreshing the Searing Light. You will get more output by switching targets. The Searing Light returns as atonement healing. Let's see how this goes. Put a feather out. He doesn't use it though. I think it's so rare to see a priest lay a feather out that maybe others just don't even know what the hell it is. But I like laying those out. Okay, switching targets for all of my dots. And with enough haste, you can have 3 Searing Lights out, like with PI. Another good reason not to continually overlap your Searing Light is because let's say you have a harsh discipline with extra bolts. So you have it like, let's say like a strong Searing Light, and then you override it with a weak Searing Light. It's lost, better to have 2 out. Okay, defensive penance. Okay, find my focus early on the caster. I have PI and uppies. PI's on the lock. Getting a couple penance out for dot spread. And uppies. So critiquing myself, I could have had a little more output if I played Mind Blast before the uppies. But I didn't. I'm still sitting on Mind Blast. Okay, first Mind Blast, cringe. That could have been my second Mind Blast by now. But something I think about when trying to min-max Mind Blast is we have a guaranteed shadowy penance. That's kind of the cell of Mind Blast for Oracle. I never want to cast that free proc if I don't have the extra bolts from casting a Radiance first. So I get that Harsh Discipline going, then Mind Blast, then Penance. I like giving the tank an arrow sometimes. Levitate in for style, fade to not pull. We have Evangelism and Pain Sups. Let's see how we play. Evangelism. Defensive, just to make sure we have everyone alive. Another defensive penance. And in these cases, on the start of a pull, I would much rather it go into an enemy for my dot spread. But keeping your team up is more important. Okay, there goes a Pain Sup. Switching targets. And I'm not too sure how well a viewer is going to be able to see this in the moment, but something I have started trying to do, and it's very selective on a pull-by-pull basis, is I hold Wheel and Woe for a Void Shield. So instead of dropping, like, let's say a 7-stack Wheel and Woe on a regular shield, I'll cast another penance, take a little bit of loss with my Wheel and Woe, and gamble for a Void Shield. So depending on the situation, depending on if there's no damage incoming versus damage upcoming, I hold selectively. Give me your thoughts on that. It is a little bit of loss. I think it's kind of like the yin and yang. Okay, Radiance, Mind Blast, Penance, Shield. Switch targets, Penance. Switch targets, Penance. And so at this point, pretty much the entire pull is dotted. Well, they are dotted. So you can just tab target to go to your next mob. And you can pretty much guarantee that they're not going to be holding a Searing Light because you can kind of only have 2 out at once. So just tab target, Searing Light the next guy. And on trash, I think the better you can do it, the better. Obviously, depending on how chaotic something is, it can fall down the priority list. But we have an example coming up here on the next boss, 2 target cleave. It is a major loss if you don't give any thought to Searing Light spread. So the name of the game on a 2 target cleave boss, keep your Shadow Word Pain up just with penance, and keep 2 Searing Lights up with your penance. So constantly switching back and forth. Grid 2 for the win, I will be sharing those codes. Platinator for the win, I'll be sharing those codes as well. And drink. I'm saying red. Oh, and this, I don't remember if this was pulled on purpose. I definitely didn't see it pull. But we just got Ultimate Penitence. Paints up just to ease this chaos. And Ultimate Penitence just to kind of knock these adds down some. Get that spell on cooldown. Okay, so the bird jumps, and after the bird jumps, we can expect the arrows. So you want to spread from your team preemptively. And I think we played it pretty well here, except for one instant. And I think I died, so let's see what happens if I remember. Okay, switching targets for my Searing Light spread. And when it comes to timing our heals, this attack, which is called the Putrid Pinion or something like that, Festering Pinion, it's light infected pinions. It's light group rot. Definitely a good place to load Evangelism, Mind Blast. I think this is where I die.
Only the strong.
It was tricky. We kind of all got pinned there. Everyone took damage. I could have reacted with a wall or a paints up on myself and might have gotten through it. I would say maybe if I were to have wanted something different from the lock. He was the one selected. He could have gated away and baited that mechanic away from the entire team, which was pitted in that little alcove back there. But what can you do? Okay, so on the infected pinions, not a bad place to run your fade. Run your personal shields. And I've talked about it in previous videos, but yeah, the single target, you can see it as a private aura. Not a bad idea to queue pain sups on the person who's being arrowed, but don't really need it as long as the group is playing well, at least on a 17. But yeah, shields that are cast on yourself hit harder. It's something I've done for a long time, even before Oracle. I have a separate keybind to cast shields at player. And the idea is with your Void Shield or even just your regular shield from a Wheel and Woe, a lot of times my only need, is just to drop the shield. It doesn't really matter where it's going, so I'd rather give myself a little extra defense and cast it up myself. Mainly I've just used it for Wheel and Woe, like a little tiny personal speed boost, but now that I'm playing Oracle and shields on self hit harder, and dropping Void Shields is important, I just drop it on myself often. Okay, going into this next area, we have a lot of purges, which isn't something we see too often, but we have to balance our heals and purge, kind of like back and forth. And we have to purge these shields off. So purge, heal, purge, heal. Just kind of back and forth. And we do have mini boss. Cool, just found him. Not too much here. PI's out. You have to dodge the pull-in. And I took a gamble here. I didn't realize that green stuff hurt so bad, but thankfully I didn't die. That would have been cringe. And I just cast a dot, which is also kind of cringe. I should have just switched my target for penance. What can you do? Okay, we have more purges. We have uppies. Purge. Purge. Heal. Heal. Purge. Heal. Purge. This is looking like a good place for uppies. Yep. So I'm also trying to get a good habit. It doesn't cost too much, but I try and play a shield very last before uppies to get the haste boost. What's it called? It's called borrowed time? Is that what it's called? Yeah, it helps you get through your uppies quicker. Makes the ticking damage from the hots quicker. And it's pretty much a mandatory talent you have to take now. Disagree with that, but what can you do? Yeah, I wish developers would undo that, or maybe just come up with a second option. But making borrowed time mandatory and harsh discipline higher up in the tree, don't like it. Okay, just got PI. We have Pain Sups, Evangelism, and that's all we got. Focus on the big guy. God, I can't find my purge. Purge heal, and we're good. Okay, so now what I'm trying to focus on is dot spread. Getting my dots out. That would have been a dispel, but it was DK selected. Switching targets for Searing Light and general dot spread. Execute when I can. Switching targets for dot spread. You know, being that... Did I pull that? Being that things are simplified now. Discipline didn't get it too hard. You know, we had our simplification pass over a year ago. But being that things are simpler, I think the better practice you are in managing targeting, the better you can be at maximizing these little things, like your dot spread. And I think I do show it at the end of the key, but I open up the spread of damage. Atonement healing is still large for us as Oracle, and Shadow Word Pain is still a large chunk of our overall damage. Sorry, I couldn't find my words. Happens a lot. Okay, we have some more purges. Purge heal. Heal. We're good. Oh, there's one more. Okay, I purged. Found someone with the dot for penance. Back to my focus. Radiance, Mind Blast, Penance. So now that Searing Light is going to be buffed. Definitely don't want to overlap it. And I give my weaker Searing Light to another mob. Okay, PI is coming up. I believe I play PI next pull, and I got into a little bit, I'll give you some foreshadowing. Uppies is 40 seconds away, and I play it on trash. I think for this dungeon, at this level, it's a hold for boss. So I play it on trash just for the uptime, and we suffer on boss a little. I don't necessarily think the problem we had on boss had to do with uppies being down, but having uppies might have helped. Okay, so Purge, Evangelism, Purge. PI's out on lock. But looking at damage overall, the Hunter's on top, so arguably... Okay, and with PI, we should be able to get 3 Searing Lights at once. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so here's that uppies I told you about. It was a little bit of a greed uppies, especially since the pull is expired. I do ask the tank to pull trash before boss just to buy a little time. But having uppies for the intermission phase on boss is very, very important. And for first intermission, that's where we struggled. We will have to see exactly what happened. I don't remember. But I don't think it had anything to do with me or not having uppies, but uppies may have helped. So let's just see. Shields out of combat for the palm. And we have some purges. Purge. Heal. Purge. Purge. Heal. So on a 17, one single purge isn't going to knock you to 0. So you can likely get 2 in a row. But also not bad practice just to kind of bounce back and forth. Definitely not a mass dispel point. Okay, so here we have boss. So when it comes to timing our heals, we want to queue group healing, so like evangelism, radiance, mind blasts, after the add spawn. I don't think it's necessarily on boss timers, but after add spawn, they blow up and cause group dam. Okay, spreading searing light. Spreading more searing light. Okay, so it's a little bit just by feel. So at this point, we're expecting group dam. I delay my heals for a second. Paints up the tank just because he's holding a lot of adds here. His health was getting a little too spiky for my comfort. Execute just for some free heals. And here's the rinse and repeat. So it's not a bad idea to give yourself a feather here in anticipation of the unmake, which is the frontal. Warlock just ate it. Okay. Also not a bad idea to play Fade as you're expecting damage. And yeah, here's where things got out of control. Uppies is 50 seconds away. DK died to touching an ad. Paints up myself just for some help. It looks like Hunter touched an orb too. Oh, touched another orb. Okay, so this is what I mean by it wasn't necessarily my fault. I think at that point, Uppies definitely wouldn't have saved anyone. But we have 2 down. Uppies is 20 seconds away. PI is 10 seconds away. And I think our battle res must not be ready yet either. It looks like he has one, but he's not taking it. It's hard to say. Okay. We just got PI. PI's out. There was an area where I held my Wheel and Woe for a Void Shield. 1 extra penance, a little loss on Wheel and Woe, but I got the Void Shield. And there was no damage incoming, so I could kind of hold for a second. Okay, defensive penance into the lock. Good thing, because he was hit by Unmake again. And I'm starting to struggle with him a little bit because he's living outside of my range. Yeah, ugh. Okay. If I had had him atoned, the Uppies might have saved him, but he was out of my range, so I don't know. It takes 2 to tango with range. I would say as a ranged class, the Warlock, it's something that needs to be kept kind of in the back of your mind, is where's my healer and am I in his general proximity? Okay, I did play a Mind Blast here for some quick recovery, and I think that's fine. We have it back by time the damage comes. Same with on pull, but let's see the cadence. So Mind Blast is 7 seconds away. Defensive Penance, Fade, preemptively. Evangelism. Another Defensive Penance. Desperate Prayer. Defensive Penance. Executes do help. Thankfully we're sub 20. You see that with the white on the nameplate. A lot more prevalent on trash. Okay, I believe I just start full sending here. Mind Blast. Cool. So very messy boss. There was ground damage taken, there were range problems. The DK died, I believe, to touching an ad. Don't fully know that mechanic, so if you do know, please help me out in the comments. I think the mechanic goes they have to touch the boss, but I also think if they touch you, it's no bueno. And here's 2 keys in a row where I didn't start with consumables. Honestly, I'm at a complete loss without weak Rs, so how do you guys manage that? And we have more purges. We also have PI. PI's out. Heal Purge. Heal Purge. Missing my dot spread a little. Desperate Prayer is free to sell here. Miss and execute just barely. We're full health, so a Purge. Dot. Radiance. Actually, that was Evangelism. Penance. Purge. Yeah, so it's a Purge, a couple of heals, Purge. If you have a Void Shield in here, that is the best. And we've not talked about it too much in this video, but it's an area of critique for myself. On that last boss, I don't think I played a single pain stop except maybe on start. In the end, we didn't necessarily need it, but could have played more back there. And yeah, going into this next guy, it's kind of we have to run up together because there's a lot of spike damage, and we have to kill the guy to end the phase. And I don't exactly know what's happening to the DK, so let's keep an eye on him here. He doesn't join us. The attack lasts longer than it should, and we almost all die. Yeah, so he's just like back there. Playing Desperate Prayer and Fade are going to be really important here. Defensive Penance. I'm trying to prime a grip on him. Both my defensives are played. Mini boss or whatever he is down before he even got here, so that's not good. That is one very important area to be in the right position. Okay, PI's out on the Hunter. And on open here, there's light rot damage, not too much to worry about. Where you really have to queue your heals is after this. Crush Souls. 3 people are selected. You want those 3 people in the same vicinity to cleave down the adds that spawn. I wait for the adds to spawn and cast a Penance to spread my dots on them. And we do have uppies. I think I play it on the next round of adds. Playing flash heals sporadically just to keep my 10% damage reduction active. Penance to spread my dots. Then Evangelism. Execute. So I think if you're trying to min-max as well, I'm anticipating getting thrown away. I left him with a fresh dot and a Searing Light. Kind of the best you can do. And in this phase, you want to go Defensive Priest. So play your Penance on cooldown. Play your Shields on cooldown. Defensive penance into your allies is nice. Also proccing some instant flash heals. And the hunter, I believe, yeah, he lusts before the tank is here, so that is some loss. Let's see how we do here on the burn phase. Massive shields, massive buffs. And if anyone knows, chime in. I was experimenting with it. I'll get back to you guys as well. But I don't think you can carry a regular shield and a void shield at the same time, or do they stack? I was actually a little confused when I was trying to figure it out. Don't know. Okay, I have one of the green things, so let's stack in. Holding my penance for add spawn. Ooh, one dot didn't spread. That's okay. Evangelism. Paints up just because I have them. Stacking these things together. And boom. So really not a problem except for the middle boss. It was just slight miscoordination, I guess. Small mistakes, positioning mistakes. But we made it through A-OK. That was not a key for IO, but just trying to get some more content up on my channel, anticipating the expansion drop. Remember to check me out on Metafy. I have some lessons over there. It's a great way to support the channel. And showing the damage at the bottom, healing at the bottom. You might want to freeze frame that if you want to see what it looks like, but it's pretty predictable and standard. But yeah, throw the video a comment, a like, and a sub. Check me out on Metafy. I'm teaching private lessons before the expansion drops. It's a great way to get a head start, potentially even just throw me a sub to support the future of the channel. And until next time, Disc out.